Hello and welcome back to another episode of Mikey Reyes Real Kung Fu KC. Today I have a very special guest and we'll be at the main library downtown. Come on guys, let's go! Thanks for coming back to our new episode of Mikey Reyes Real Kung Fu KC. Today I'm here with my very good friend Sly James. He is the former mayor of Kansas City and knows lots of beautiful knowledge about Kansas City and has also been my friend for over 20 years. So we're just going to get right into it.
Mikey, what's going on?
Not a lot, my brother. Just trying to get used to this type of life and do what I can do to make Kansas City a better place. And that's why I came to you.
You're doing a good job. You know, you'll be successful in this just like you've been successful in everything else. It's all good. It's all good.
Well, I appreciate that, Sly. Why don't we just first start off with maybe some things you know about Kansas City that other people don't know about Kansas City?
Well, I'd be happy to. You know, it's very interesting. Having been mayor of Kansas City, I've had not just an opportunity to talk to people in Kansas City about Kansas City, but a lot of people from outside of Kansas City who came to Kansas City with the idea that there would be cows and things.
I've heard that one a lot.
Oh, believe me.
Some people still say, do you ride horse and buggy?
During the All-Star game in 2012, and during the World Series with San Francisco, probably two of my fondest things. And I heard one line that I've always remembered, and I heard it constantly. People would come, they look around, they participate, they go here, they go there, they eat barbecue, they go to some of our events, our museum, Kaufman Center for Performing Arts, whatever. And they'd say, I had no idea. I love it. I had no idea. And I asked, what do you mean? He said, well, this isn't at all what I expected. It's much prettier. It's got more art. It's got a lot friendlier. It's got beautiful spaces, all those types of things that people don't always associate with Kansas City, particularly people from the coast.
Yes.
Who tend to be a little bit self-centered, shall we say.
I would say for a while, I always used to hear Kansas City is just a place you fly through to get to New York or California.
Yeah, it's flyover town. Yeah, it ain't anymore.
No, it's a beautiful place.
Kansas City is a city that, frankly, people also confuse Kansas City and Kansas City, Kansas. I watch a lot of sports and stuff, and people say, well, it's a city that's on both sides of the state line. No, it's two separate cities and two separate states.
Yes.
Kansas City was a city before Kansas was a state. So
I didn't even know that.
Oh, absolutely. So the bottom line is that Kansas City is a place that offers more than people think. We have art, we have theater, we have opera, we have symphony, we have all sorts of good music, great food, not just barbecue. But the main thing about Kansas City has always been the people. And that's another thing that I hear from people coming from outside, how friendly the people are in Kansas City. And it's something I always took pride in when I was mayor of Kansas City, because that's what you want your city to be known for. Whether it's big, small, great or not, you want your people to be friendly.
Yeah.
One basic little fact, Kansas City is also one of the largest landmass cities in the country. And it has one of the lowest populations, so it's very undense, okay? Kansas City is 516 square miles. You can fit 7 San Francisco's inside Kansas City.
You know that?
But only 500,000 people. Now, the problem that creates is you still have to build out the infrastructure for the entire area, even though you just don't have that many people. That's one of the things that's great. It gives us a lot of space. You can rent an apartment downtown and overlooking the river, or you can go another 20 minutes and have farmland out in Black County or out south. So all those things make Kansas City a special place, and one that I always loved and why I was honored to be mayor of.
You know, it's funny. I go to Loose Park every single morning and try to work out for an hour or two to clear my mind before I do whatever else I'm going to do. And because I've been in construction in Kansas City for 30 years, I see a lot of my old clients walk the path. And one of my old clients, his name is Michael. He's a psychologist. And he sees me one day and he calls me scum dog. He's hilarious. He's this older Jewish guy. He's funny. And he's like, he's like, scum dog, you're still here. He's like, you're just hanging out with everybody. Every time I come here, you're talking to this guy, you're talking to that guy. You know everybody in this park. He's like, you're like the mayor of loose parts. And I'm like, well, honestly, Mike, I'm like, I just really love people, and I love to talk to everybody. He goes, you know what that makes you? And I'm like, no, that makes you a great mate. And, that's another word, like, when I thought of that, I thought of you. I was like, man, I'm like, that's just like Sly. Sly is such a great dude. He has so much good energy. Everybody I've ever said your name to always says so much beautiful positivity about you. Tells me they loved you. They love that you were the mayor. And it made me feel good that somebody would even consider me a mayor of even just a park.
You know what? You know what that's a product of? I signed them all up on the Rent-A-Fin program, and I send them money every month. No, but that makes me feel good. But one of the things that I know is that regardless of what you do, there's always going to be a percentage of people who don't like it.
Of course.
And you just have to learn to deal with it. Yes. And you can disagree without being a pain in the butt.
Of course.
So we managed to get some things done despite the fact that we were swimming upstream on some things. But the thing is that we always tried to respect other people's opinions, whether or not they were ours or not. And frankly, sometimes when you have critics, you should listen to them because their criticisms might make your product better.
Yeah.
In construction, if somebody comes in and says, well, you might want to do something a little different here. And you say, yeah, maybe that's right. What you thought of was something they thought of, and they incorporated. Now you got a better product. That's the way government should be, and that's the way politics should be.
And I think life is that. I think in general,
absolutely,
criticism, which sometimes to some people nowadays is almost a bad word, but the idea of being critiqued is a benefit.
Yeah, and I think there's also an art to criticize.
Oh, sure.
There are some that, obviously, if I can tell you the same thing 3 different ways, and in one of those ways you're going to be much more accepting than the other two. It's a matter of how you approach. But if you approach somebody with respect and with the idea of not telling them that they're wrong, but telling them, I think I have an idea that might make it better. Or you can say, I think you're wrong, and here's why.
Sure.
As long as it's done with respect, you can get some things done. But when you start getting all crazy about it, nobody will see it. That's actually want somebody in their face.
That's the same thing with martial artists. If martial artists get together, if one person starts trying to push too much on one idea, they can make problems. But if you generally just talk to each other and look at things critically and look at people's bodies, postures, you always make things make sense in the product.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I love that. On the martial end of it, as we mature in age, what are the things that you find that I can do to help you out with martial arts? And
I've for years I've dabbled on the edges of Tai Chi.
Yes.
And I loved it when I was doing it, but to be honest, it was an impossible thing to keep up when I was in office because I had absolutely no control over myself.
Yeah.
Things come up and things are canceled, and after a while, it's just fruitless.
Yes, I remember.
I'm now a 73-year-old black man who has not done much of anything physically and smokes too many cigars.
Okay.
I've got to do something. So I like Tai Chi because, one, every time I was engaged in Tai Chi, even though I wasn't good at it and didn't actually finish all of the form or anything, my blood pressure went down.
Oh, yeah.
My voice went down. I became much more centered and peaceful.
Yes.
That's what I like. That's what I need. I think any martial art is really designed to work not just on the outside, but on the inside.
Yes.
To bring you something in terms of your personality and how you confront the world that you didn't have in a way that has more philosophical backing, allows you to understand that despite the fact that you may be lethal, using that lethality is always the last thing that you ever want to do. And here's why, because if you can find a way to do things based on your inner peace and your chi, you can get a lot more done.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
It's a discipline. It disciplines the body, disciplines the mind, and it disciplines the spirit.
And recently I've had some people asking me, like, well, how do you use your martial arts to diffuse situations or whatever? And I'm like, man, it's fairly easy. First, I just ask the person's plight that is choosing to be crazy, have a problem with me. Hey, man, are you okay? Did something happen today? Let's find out where the situation comes from. Try to break it down, understand it. I generally tell people, man, you know how much it costs to get part of the judicial system and do all that stuff. That's expensive. I don't want to do any of that. I don't want to deal with hospitals. Can I buy you a meal? Can I buy you a drink? Do we need to sit down for a moment and have a conversation? And if they give you no other choice, hopefully by that time you've been able to assess the situation to figure out what type of or how much energy you need to resolve the situation. In my classes, I don't even say fight. I say resolve.
Exactly.
I resolve issues mentally, physically, spiritually, financially, and socially. And when you are a martial artist, an artist means that you are trying to refine one's medium.
Yeah.
And as a martial artist, we are the medium. So we are supposed to be working on ourselves, like I said, mentally, physically, spiritually, financially, socially, all these ways to find and betterment ourselves so we can be better for society. Because I'm only one person, but I'm still part of the body of this world.
Right.
I always tell people my liver doesn't think it's better than my heart. My heart doesn't get jealous of my brain. All my organs have to function together for me to be the best Mikey Reyes.
Let me just ask you a
Yeah,
question.
please.
Are your heart, liver, and brains talking to each other somehow? Are they having like these little late night conversations when you're asleep about what's going on? I was kidding.
Yeah.
But, you know, the interesting thing is that I agree with you 100%. You know, one thing that I've learned over time is that when you have an opportunity or when you have a situation that requires some sort of resolution, your first attempt at resolving it should not be the drop of the atomic.
No.
You know, you always start at the lowest level because you can always escalate. But once you escalate, you have a very hard time to de-escalate.
100%.
And frankly, a lot of times people just need a little space to calm down if that's what's going on, or some time to figure out why they're acting whatever way it is. And we all know people who their first instinct is to bash somebody up the side of the head.
I sure do.
And it's not generally martial artists, it's generally street fighters that want to do that because that's how they make their bones work. But at the end of the day, one of the things that I think martial arts teaches us is that it is absolutely essential that you escalate only as needed, that you do those things only necessary. You know, with your skills in Kung Fu, you could seriously hurt or kill somebody.
Oh, yes.
But I'm sure that that's never something that you would ever do. You might want to put them in a hole that would stop them from doing something and talk to them while they're there. But, you know, you've got power. That doesn't mean you use it.
Yeah. No, believe me, I'm only 5'2" and 145 pounds. People talk mess to me on a regular. And I always just tell them thank you and nod my head and walk the other direction. Because I know, like you said, I know how you could put things apart. I mean, the systems that I've trained, some of them are very, very powerful. Shaolin animal boxing is crazy powerful. And so you don't ever want to be like a vicious animal to somebody unless you have no other choice.
Right.
So I always try to be good. My Kung Fu teacher, John Reeder, always used to say, Mike, at the beginning of life, when we start martial arts, you gotta learn how to kill and protect yourself. You gotta learn how to maim. You gotta learn how to hurt people. And then you gotta learn how to destroy, block people. Then you gotta learn to know how to dodge people. And then you gotta learn how to love people. And he goes, but the end product is knowing to love people. When you've been training so long, you could love somebody. Even if they start off violent, you know a way to push them back and to change the energy to where you can hopefully get to the love part and not be aggressive.
Absolutely.
But a lot of people do just set in the first 2 to 3 steps of that. They're either, want to hurt you really bad, kill you, or beat you to a pulp so you don't move, or, think like they're the tough guys. But none of that stuff is the way a real martial artist should act. If you're an artist, we should always be kind to each other.
Agreed. Agreed. Let me take a sip of coffee.
Yeah, please. Let's get back to the tip of Tai Chi and Qigong. Have you ever tried any Qigong? I don't think we did any Qigong.
No.
You know what Qigong is?
I think I have an idea, but explain it to me. So
we'll break down the words first. So
Qi
means energy or blood, and Gong means work or effort. So it's the cultivation of one's personal energy and blood through work and effort. It's very similar to Tai Chi, but when you do Tai Chi, you could be more of in a relaxed state. When you do Qigong, you are basically strengthening each different organ and your fascia with certain motion and breathing.
Okay.
So there are Qigong sets that are just for your kidneys. Qigong sets that are just for your balance. Qigong sets just for your heart. There are every single part of your natural body. There are Qigong sets that help tonify and put it back in balance. So I also do a lot of Qigong. I teach the 8 pieces of brocade, which was the oldest form of Qigong brought by the Bodhisattva to Shaolin monks.
Oh.
So when the Bodhisattva saw the monks sickly and weak because they were trying to reach enlightenment by the means of being a harsh ascetic and not eating, not drinking, sitting still. And then when the Bodhisattva saw him, he was like, hey, you guys need help. I'm going to show you this stuff. And he showed them this stuff, and it made them what they are today, the strong, healthy, vibrant Shaolin monks. And so it's super amazing for you. And it shows balance, helps blood. I literally had just built a whole program for senior living homes. Just to teach, because a lot of people have heart problems, balance issues, and these things really dial in people. And every Tai Chi set, like Wu style Tai Chi, the Tai Chi that I teach, it also has its own Qigong set. So you would be able to do the Tai Chi of Wu style, which will help your balance and help you calm and help the heart and do all that. But then we add in a Qigong set, which will then fortify all those things for your body, strengthen the tendons, the knees, strengthen the heart, strengthen the muscle, the fascia, calm the mind, allow blood to do its proper work within the body. Because I don't think people understand the function of how important it is to have active, strong blood flow in the body.
Oh, believe me, I do.
Yeah, when things get stagnant and blood is not flowing, just like water, when water gets stagnant, what happens? Mosquitoes and all kinds of things start making this water sickly. Our body and blood's the same way. If our blood is not constantly moving and keeping it in a good direction, our feet get cold. Eventually leads to neuropathy or other things. So having good blood flow is crucial. And that is like one of the greatest benefits of doing Tai Chi, because you're constantly pumping and using all your muscles in a very slow, methodical way, controlling yourself. So therefore, it really helps with all the ailments that we get as we get older. But honestly, it's something you can do as a child. It's beneficial from the beginning.
Well, I understand the value of blood flow since I had pulmonary embolus in 93, which turned out to be what the Mayo Clinic called a lottery disease.
Okay.
Because I had as great a chance of winning the lottery as I did get the disease. Unfortunately, I got the disease, didn't win the damn lottery.
Yeah.
But yeah, I still have occlusions in my right leg. I can't take a hot bath, for example. I can't get the hot tub because of the blood clots. I still take anticoagulants. So believe me, and I was on steroids for a year.
Yeah.
I was in a wheelchair for several months.
I never even knew any of that.
Oh yeah, yeah. It was a very strange and interesting time.
Yeah.
But just to show you how things work, all this happened right after I put golf clubs in my trunk of my car to go over and pick up my law partner to make a drive to the Ozarks for a meeting. If that had happened in the car,
yeah, you'd be done.
Yeah. And so my chin.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, all things happen for a reason.
Of course.
You know.
Of course.
And it certainly made me much more aware of my body than I had been. I was like most people, you know. I was fairly young at the time. Gotten out of the Marine Corps, finished college and law school.
Yeah.
Been practicing for a bit. Still was playing softball and running around like an idiot, playing a little racquetball from time to time. It was in decent shape.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you're not.
Yeah.
Your life changes in a lot of different ways.
Of course.
So at some point thereafter, and that was very interesting. See, one of the things the first place I encountered Tai Chi was at the University of Minnesota Law School in like one of the PE offerings for students.
Yeah.
And fell in love with it because I do like the movement. I do like the way it is. It's not as easy as it looks.
Oh, moving slow
is
very hard.
As it looks.
I always tell my students when we do forms and stuff, you know, sometimes they'll go through them so fast. And I said, you gotta go, speed kills.
Yeah.
Because in my opinion, you're still a child, even though you've been doing this for 4 years. That's like giving keys to a 4-year-old to a Porsche.
Yeah.
They're gonna wreck themselves. It's not important. It's not good to go fast. When you go slow, you find out what you know and what you don't know.
Yeah.
And you have to really dial it in, control yourself, control every little muscle. And that is phenomenal.
You know, what the biggest mistake that people, I'm learning to play the bass.
Sure.
Okay. You know what the biggest mistake you make when you're trying to practice?
I would say the thing that I would say in martial arts is that as an adult, we think we already should know something and be good at something.
That's part of it. But the other part is trying to go too fast.
Yes.
You do it
yes.
a couple of times, think you got it, and now all of a sudden you're trying to speed it out.
Yeah.
No, absolutely the wrong way to approach it. Slow, slow, slow. So that just like you say, you can work on the placement of your hand on the threading board. You can work on whether or not you're strumming right with your fingers.
Yep.
How do you mute the springs? All of those things have to be done slowly.
Sure.
When you try to do it fast, what you do is you incorporate bad habits that then you have to go back and break.
See, you a master of Kung Fu already. I love that stuff.
Well, I don't know. I haven't mastered the bass.
But
I'm not sure I've mastered much of anything at this point.
Hey, I'm with you. I'm with you on that one. But I love the Marine Corps saying, slow is smooth, smooth is fast.
That's right.
And that is a true statement for life.
That's right.
If you take the time to truly understand something, you will truly get it to the greatest point.
And see, and that's one of the problems. I think that one of the things that's also a byproduct of the martial arts is patience. You learn patience.
Sure.
You know, now it may not look like patience to somebody else if you're moving fast, but you know from your own work experience and mastery of the art that there is patience in moving fast. The patience comes in recognizing what's coming at you and responding to it. Mm-hmm. And you have to be patient for that. If you anticipate you're wrong, you can leave yourself open pretty bad. So patience is a good thing. Uh-huh. I'm not known as the most patient person in the world. Okay. Just ask my business partner. She'll tell you I'm not very patient. My wife will tell you I'm not very patient. I'm trying to be more patient.
I hear you.
But being more patient, first of all, requires you to kind of clean your mind out and chill. But when you've got a lot of stuff going on in your mind, you're always thinking about what's next, and what's next pushes you to move faster.
Yep, I'm with you, brother.
You have to consciously say, slow down.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and that's, those are, great truths of life. Even though I work to, some people are like, oh, Mike, you've been doing Kung Fu so long, everything's just easy for you. And I'm like, no, man, I still have to tell myself to slow down. I still have to be patient with myself. It's very easy, like you said, to get up in your head and not really be thinking clearly or putting things in the right order of operations. And the next thing you know, you get more angry and it's not taking you to where you're at. Every part of my life, I say we have to work on understanding our problems and being patient with it. Because everything that we do, I'm not a master at my finances. I'm not a master at all these other parts of life. And I always tell people, even champions in UFC can still fail to communication, can still fail to money problems, can still fail to all kinds of other stuff, because we have to work on our patience on all of these things to be a better us.
That's right.
Yeah,
and it's not just, it's a lifelong problem for everyone.
100%.
There are very few people who are naturally just laid back and patient. There are some in our environment.
Yeah.
But most of us have to consciously train ourselves to do that.
Yes.
Or be trained as a child by a parent, perhaps. But at the end of the day, it's not an innate skill. It's a learned skill.
100%. And luckily, Kung Fu it helps you do that. I mean, if you're with a good teacher that tells you, hey man, if you're not punching like this, it might look fast, but it's not as clean as just one direction.
Right.
And so that's what we got to work on. Cleaning up everything, having patience for our life, having patience for our people out in Kansas City, and know that our whole goal is just in betterment.
Yes.
And as long as we are working on that, all of Kung Fu will talk to us. And I always say, there's many things out in this world. If I say dog to 1,000 people, everybody's going to see a different dog in their head. So I got to eventually make the dogs look the same.
Yeah.
And that takes time.
It does.
Which also takes patience.
It does. It also takes a lot of patience because there's a lot of dogs.
Yeah, there is. And I always tell people, man, I like to talk to people and get in front of different people all the time because they all ask different questions. Even if I lined up 20 people that were built just like you and all that, they all think differently in their head. So every single one of you would act differently.
You know, I think that's one of the biggest fallacies that I don't know if other people have, but I will certainly admit to it having had. At one point in my life, I thought, well, I think fairly logical, and I think most people are logical. Therefore, I think most people kind of think like me. I'm not even close to,
No.
and it's still somewhat amazing at the diversity of thought and what thought does to action. One thing that I do know, and when I came into office, the city was kind of in the dumps. You know, we had finished 4 years of the Funkhauser administration and coming out of a recession, and nothing had happened. We had a lot of bad publicity and a lot of anger coming out of city government. And one of our first goals was to create an agenda that we could always default back to, regardless of what else might be going on. So we had the 4E agenda of education, employment, enforcement, and efficiency. But the first thing that we said we needed to do is we needed to find a way to change the attitude of the city, to make it start feeling good about itself. Because if you're in a bad mood, you don't want to do anything. If you're in a good mood, you want to do a lot of stuff. So we had to change the attitude so we could change the actions. You cannot change your actions with the same attitude.
Yeah.
So we worked on that. We got that done. And you know what's really interesting, and I'm sure that this is part of your teaching method, you celebrate the little steps that you take that you can achieve.
Every bit of success is still a success.
Exactly right. And when you know that, you feel good about that, it drives you to move on to the next level and take that next step.
Yes.
But if you're constantly failing, you don't want to do anything. And we had to get out of that failure mindset and get into a win mindset. Once we got to that point of winning things and celebrating those wins and celebrating the people who made those wins happen, not just me, but all sorts of different people make those wins happen, we wanted more. So it just built on itself.
Yeah.
And if you look at cycles like that, you'll see that those types of changes lead to those types of actions.
Yeah.
When you stop, the attitude will change, then you stop, the action will change.
That's if you listen to like esoteric concepts, people when they talk about the idea of manifestation and energy and all that stuff, it's based on that. They say the first thing you need to do to make success for real is express and feel comfortable with the successes you have already made.
Yeah.
Because just like you said, that is the ball going down the hill and continues making those other successes.
That's exactly right.
And I always say, in the world, some of the oldest things we have is thought and our voice. And so if those are the two oldest things and also the two strongest things in my mind, if we project with this, what's in here in our heart and our spirit, and then we put it out of our mouth, we are making our world.
Well, that's how you're held accountable.
Sure.
You know, you can think a lot of things. I could think a lot of things.
Oh, yes.
Until I actually express them, there's no accountability attached.
Yes.
Once you say it, once it's out there, then there's some level of accountability. Okay, you said it. Are you actually going to do it?
Let me tell you a funny story with that. Because I've been wanting to get out of construction forever, right? Just because I wanted something different. This is my real love, doing kung fu. So I'm like, I gotta figure out a way to make that happen. So I started telling all these people at Loose Park, hey man, I'm gonna start a YouTube channel. Hey man, I'm gonna start a YouTube channel. And then one lady, one day, this one comes up to me. She was like, well, where's the YouTube channel?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm starting it right now. You know, and then when I first started doing this, man, I didn't know what I was going to do. I had no clue. I had all these concepts in my brain. Like, are people going to think I'm cocky because I'm saying these things? Who am I to be telling the world about anything? And I had all this stuff in my head. And, I mean, you can ask my wife tomorrow. When I first started doing this, man, I was nervous. I'd get angry because it took me to that level of uncomfortableness.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a street kid. I can walk any hood in probably America and feel pretty comfortable and not worry about it. But man, when I went to college and I had to sit in school and write papers, I cried all the time. It beat me up, you know, because I felt bad. I was like, I feel way out of my norm. When I started this, sweating and bleeding, laying 1,500 square foot of hardwood floors or fixing stucco, that ain't no problem. I can sweat and bleed all day. But doing something like this that was different for me, man, it took a lot of change in me. And it took hearing all those people saying, I said it so much, I'm going to do it. And then people started questioning me on it. Hey, where's it at? I want to see it.
They held you accountable.
Yeah, and you know what? It made this beautiful thing. And now,
Well, of course, once people know that you said what you're doing, they're waiting for you to see that you actually do it.
yeah,
And now you've got a choice to make. I
Yeah.
can either back off of what I said and
Yep.
look like I'm a person who can't finish or just is given to wild thoughts and dreams,
yeah,
or I can do what I said and explore it.
Mhm.
But all things happen in their time, at the
yes.
time they're supposed to happen.
I bumped into this. I love it. We say so many similar things. I bumped into this guy at Loose Park this morning, and he's 57 years old, and he's like, "Yeah, man, I've been seeing you out here for a while. I really wish I would have got with you younger." I said, "No, you don't, because this is why. When you were younger, your brain wasn't ready for this.
Mhm.
Your body wasn't ready for this. Teachers appear when the student is ready, and so therefore." Now that you're saying this, now you are probably ready. Because if you would have done this when you're younger, you could have done it for a month or two or a year and then be like, no, I'm not about this. But now you see the importance of it, so now you are truly ready.
Yes.
And that's when you're ready to learn.
Exactly. All things happen in time.
Yeah,
That's right.
I love it. This has been a great conversation, Sly. Thank you so much for doing this with me. And
Let me ask you
yeah,
about this.
please ask me some questions.
So you're at Loose Park.
Yes.
Are you there alone? Are you with the class? What are you doing? at
So
Loose Park?
every morning I'm there from like 7 to 8:30, 7 to 9, just for myself. Obviously, if anybody at the park talks to me, so I've had people just step up, hey man, can I do a little bit of that boxing with you for 30 minutes? I said, come on. They just stand next to me and I show them how to do what I'm doing and they start in. I've had other people when I do Tai Chi or my Qigong stop me and be like, hey man, what are you doing? What is that? And I'm like, I tell them and I'm like, oh, and they come back and I do that. But every Tuesday and Thursday night, from 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock at night, I'm right by the tennis courts, and I teach an actual class. I teach Chinese Kung Fu, which is mainly I teach a system called Tai Hoi or Six Levels Kung Fu, same system, and I teach Wu Style Tai Chi from 6 to 8 every Tuesday and every Thursday at Loose Park by the tennis courts.
Okay, so you're teaching two different styles
And I teach them the same class.
in the same class.
Yeah, so warm-ups are the same. Everybody warms up together. And then I have two other students that have been doing Wu Style Tai Chi for many years and have been in my class for 10 years. So those two people, depending on how things are going, we either switch off. I say, hey, go give these people some drills in Tai Chi, and they do that. And then I work on the Kung Fu or vice versa. This is also great because therefore I can watch my students teach.
Ah,
And therefore I could say when they come, I don't ever correct my students directly in front of the people. I will pull them aside when they do something and tell them. Or while I'm over there, I will just demonstrate the motion or the thing, and then therefore they can see it that way, and then I talk to my student later.
Gotcha.
So that way it's a full building system. To be a great teacher, you gotta also be a great student. And so I have all my people listen to me teach, also teach others, so that way I could correct them to make them better teachers.
cool.
So, and I also teach on Sunday, from 8 to 9 a.m. I teach Qigong. And then from 9 to 11, I teach Kung Fu and Tai Chi. So I
Okay.
teach 3 days a week.
Wow. Okay. All at Loose Park?
All at Loose Park
Okay.
currently. I also, sometimes when things will change, I also teach at the Nelson Art Gallery on the back steps.
So I'm going to help you out here because I've done this a little more than you have.
Yeah, I love it.
So, Mikey,
Yes.
tell people how they can reach you to find out what you're doing.
Well, you can obviously always reach me on my YouTube channel. Leave comments if you live in Kansas City or you're stopping through Kansas City and maybe you want to meet up with me. You can always leave a comment on YouTube. Also, you can always contact me on Instagram at Mikey Reyes Real Kung Fu KC and leave a message in my message box, and I'll definitely get back with you. Or you could contact me via number at 816-337-1099. And whether you're passing through, live here, whatever, you just want to get together, sit down and talk, I'm all about it. I love helping people.
I can tell you, if you're listening to this or watching this, that this man knows more than I'll ever know about the arts. Not only that, he's extremely approachable and he cares about the people that he works with. So if you're looking for somebody to help you in the area of martial arts, Kung Fu, Tai Chi, Qigong, Mikey Reyes is your man. He's a good man, does good work, and takes care of his friends.
Man, much love to all. You guys are great. I hope you come back and see us for our next episode at Mikey Reyes Real Kung Fu KC. Much love.